What's going on, everybody? Tiger Hybrid. I'm gonna do. I haven't done a DIY tutorial of anything lately. There just hasn't been much to DIY. I'm gonna be making videos about. This room has been, slightly upgraded, and we're kind of playing around with the Gavita lights over here. Basically got this Gavita versus this 600 watt setup over here. To my surprise, I don't see any significant difference between the two. Well, we'll see what happens. We still got another, between 3 and 4 weeks, or 4 weeks left actually on this one. Everything's coming along really nice, but purpose of this video is to show you guys how to modify your hoods to have a yo-yo track like this. If you're in a tent, modifying your hood is great. Otherwise, you're going to be stringing yo-yos all over the place, around your hoods, to the side of your hoods, to the top of the tent. They're just everywhere and they're a mess. And if you guys don't have quite as much room or a setup that requires 150 yo-yos across the room like I have set up here, although we're not using them now and I doubt we will. We might use a couple here and there, but these ladies we're not given a whole lot of chance to stretch during this grow, so I'm probably not going to use a whole lot of these yo-yos this round. Last round, the ladies were literally probably this tall, another a good 14 inches taller. I had to use every single one, and that's the reason why I installed this yo-yo track right here. It's basically turnbuckles, some shackles, aircraft cable, and some guide stoppers. I'll kind of show you guys what that is. You can see I built it to where, there you go, you can see the aircraft cable, and it comes along. There's the stoppers. I'll show you what my main system is, but for the purpose of this run, I do have this hood that doesn't have any support for a support system for the plant. The plant's starting to gain weight, so we're like 4 weeks into flowering, so it's gonna start crumbling, falling down to the sides and everything. It's gonna become a mess. This one's got a scrog net. I didn't have time to make a second scrog net. Well, it doesn't really matter. This plant's pretty much been self-supportive all the way up until today, and we're gonna put this yo-yo system in here to make some insurance for ourselves. And just like I said, these were flipped the same day that we put them into flower. This plant here wasn't allowed to veg. None of these were in here. They're pretty much just monster cropped, put in here to flower. And so what you see, this plant right here is looking stellar. This plant was actually a lot, I'd say probably about, I'd say maybe 20%, 15-20% smaller than this plant here, but also I don't see a whole lot of, I don't see a lot happening over here when it comes to the Gavita plant. You look at this, it looks, the light, 600, this is a Gavita at 600, by the way. It's 600, okay? All across the room. You get over here, 600. It's brighter. You can just see it on film, or I can anyway. The color's a little different. I know it's a 1,000 watt bulb, but it don't matter. The point here is watt for watt. Is this better, or is this better? So let's move on to making modifying your hood for a yo-yo system. First thing you're gonna want are some hardware and some tools. Now, depending on what you plan on using, you can totally go a different route with this. But I'm going to tell you, explain to you how I'm going to do this, and the hardware and tools that I have and use on a daily basis. So I didn't have to go out and buy any of these tools. I didn't have to go buy a wire. I have all this stuff on deck. Framing screws, I had those. So Most importantly, you're gonna want some D-ring hangers. These things are typically to hang like pictures, you know, larger, heavier items on the wall. Sometimes you string a wire from one end to the other to kind of hang pictures and stuff. That's where these are going to be, like the picture section, a hardware section, somewhere. You can probably find them at Walmart, probably find them at Target, Lowe's, Home Depot, any big box store. They're $1.50 pack. I'm using 7/16" framing screws because they're really small. And the reason why I'm using small screws is once I drill through the hood, I don't want the screw to also drill through the reflective aluminum insert inside the hood. So we're just going to drill through the shell, the outer part of the hood. We're not drilling through anything else. Use a short screw. You can get self-tapping screws. In this case, I don't have any. I'm going to drill a pilot hole, and you know, using a 7/16" screw, I'm going to use a 3/32 drill bit just here. I'm also using aircraft wire, rigging wire. Now I buy this by the spools. You guys can buy it by the foot. It's also found at like Lowe's, Home Depot, hardware section. You're gonna want some double barrel aluminum crimps. These are very cheap. You probably get, you know, a 3-pack or a 2-pack for $1.20 or something like that. I buy those by the bulk. You're going to want a Sharpie, some cable cutters, and you know, mine look like this. Okay. Now again, I have all these tools. I didn't buy any of these tools for the purpose of this video. Some dike crimps. I got Klein, and a drill with a 3/32. Make sure that's 3/32 before we move on. Yes, 3/32 drill bit. It'll provide a slightly smaller hole than the 7/16 inch, and it'll give a nice snug fit once we tighten up the screws. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna open our hardware here. Basically, we're gonna hang a D-ring here on each corner, here, here, here. So we want a total of 8. So you're going to need 8 D-ring hooks for each hood that you modify. Again, this is for the purpose of me. If you're in a tent or in a small space, something where you can't do something, you know, crazy like this is perfect. This is a great idea. Now, some people might not want to use aircraft cable or steel wire. They might not have the tools to cut through that shit. It's really tough. You could possibly cut it with a heavy-duty pair of dikes, but it's probably going to fray, and you're probably not going to be able to get the crimp over the end of the wire. So you could get away with banding wire, but just whatever you use something that's steel, some kind of steel wire. You don't want to use any kind of soft metal wire. It'll just bend and it'll sag, and it won't be quite as effective. So I really like the aircraft wire, the steel wire for this. They work great, and they hold the yo-yos. The yo-yos don't seem to slide as much on that cable as opposed to running the yo-yos on top of just straight banding wire. You can use banding wire too, whatever works for you. I want this to be more professional, you know, nicer looking, longer lasting job, and I won't have to tinker with it again. So we're going to open these up, and we're going to I'm going to take one of those, and we're just going to make a mark where we're going to do our pilot holes with our 3/32 inch bit. So what I did is I just took the D-ring hook, and to place it like this on the hood, I wasn't trying to be, you know, scientific with this. I just kind of eyeballed everything, place the mark there, place the mark there. Okay, now we're going to drill our pilot holes. Alright, after you got all your pilot holes drilled, okay, you're going to want to start attaching your D brackets. Alright, now that we got our D-hooks installed, we're going to go ahead and run this through our D-hooks and cut a length of wire appropriate. You want to cut your wire, whatever you're using. Shit. Again, hard to do on freaking camera. You want to cut it just small enough, or just enough to where it goes through the hooks. You want to leave a little room for the back end of all the mini yo-yos you plan to attach to the cable. You still have to give clearance for the back end of this. You don't want it super tight to where you can't pull the wire away from the hood and slip this over the wire. So give it a little slack. Don't do it too tight. Okay, so we ran our cable through the D-hooks. And what this is going to do is allow the yo-yos to, it's going to give the yo-yos a place to attach. It's still manageable without, you know, normally I've done this before, but I just haven't done it in a long time. Way back in the day I did this. Instead of running banding wire just, you know, mid-cycle, which is typically what I would do, just winging things as we go through flour. When they start to get heavy, I would just wrap banding wire around the edge of the hood, small enough to where it sits up here. It's recessed a little bit, so the banding wire would go around, and then I'd have a place to attach those yo-yos. Problem with that is, you get too many yo-yos on one side, the whole thing starts to come down, or it starts to slip off, and you're just trying to manage it, so it's a pain in the ass. This works a lot better. So if you're able to acquire the hardware, and if you have the tools on hand, give it a shot. It works out really nice in the end, which I'll show you once I get all the yo-yos strung up here. What we do now is you take your crimps and you slide that double barrel crimp on right there. Okay, this is not exactly where the slack. I want it a little more taut, but so I'll take up some of that, and then I'll go ahead and crimp it where I feel comfortable, when I feel comfortable with it. So that's it. Let me go ahead and get that crimped. All right, there you go. Now you see I went ahead and crimped that, trimmed the ends off, got it real nice and clean. We don't have to worry about this cable breaking or the ends, the corners slipping off and causing a bunch of chaos once those flowers get really heavy. We just kind of space these out. We're gonna add a lot more. I only had a couple over here on the ground, so we're gonna add more. And you can see it goes through all the D-hooks, and we have enough slack, which is what I was talking about, to pull this and fit more to the back of the wire. In most cases, I actually like this more than I do this. But in this case, I'm able to access the front and the side of the plant. So I'm able to come over here and reach around and work the back side of the plant. I can't do that over here. That's the downside to working against the wall. I only have access, not even to the whole plant. The only thing I have access to is like 2 or 3 feet, probably 3 feet. That's it, out of a 12-foot wall. So that's all I have access to. I'm able to get in here, kind of manage some things, but when it comes to all that stuff back there, I can't even get to it. Even getting on a ladder and trying to lean over and bend, it's impossible. You're just going to end up injuring yourself or potentially falling on top of the nets and ruining an entire row or your plant. Something bad's bound to happen. So in this case, I have a single track up here. It's fine. If you want to do something elaborate like this, you can add another track behind the hoods. So essentially you'll have a setup like this in the front, and you'll be able to utilize those as you need to. And you'll also have one that you'll be able to kind of, if you can get back that far. Now I can't get back this far. These plants this net extends over 4 feet. It's probably 4.5 feet. You see the ends of the plant, from the net to the back wall is probably about 4.5 feet. I can't reach that far. In order for me to get on top or reach probably a second track in the back, I'd probably have to get on a ladder and really try and reach. But then again, you're just waiting for something bad to happen. So in the case, if you're in a tent and you're able to, this is kind of unique. You're able to open up a tent. Tents unzip all the way around. You can get a 360-degree working view of the plant. Something like this is really good. It'll come in really handy for you guys. Or even if you got one light in a room, or if you've got several lights in a room and they're kind of spaced apart to where you give yourself enough room to work in between each plant, this will definitely come in major handy. So really good. So I'm going to go ahead and add more yo-yos, start stringing things up, essentially doing what this net is doing for this plant over here. Is just kind of holding them up. Hope everybody enjoys the DIY yo-yo hanger thing. So now you guys can go ahead, do something of your own. You know what I mean? If you want to add some more D, I know this is going to sag here, but you got to understand, when I start stacking yo-yos, like over here on this end, it's going to put some tension on it, and the middle is going to come up like that. That's why I left a little slack. So once you start stacking these, and you got the back side going, you got the front side going, it's going to even things out, and it's going to be really nice. But if you want to buy additional D-rings, I did not want to do that. Go ahead, you can do that. You can add, one in the middle if you like, and you have a perfect, balance, all the way around. But again, if you're going to do it here, then you got to do it here. So you would need 4 more. You need 3 packs of D-rings for each hood. That'd be 12 D-rings. So I didn't want to do that. Those packs were only $1.50, but they work great. All right, guys, High-Grit Hybrid. Haven't done a video in a while, and it's really, really, really late. I'm tired. Had a massive hangover today. So, all right, guys. Hope everybody's doing good. Peace out. Much love.